Hi everyone, crf300 Mountain Race Shop. First off, just want to say thanks to all the people who gave me good wishes and get well cards and care packages and so on and so forth. It was very humbling, actually, is probably the correct word. Right hand's actually not too bad. Bruising's coming out. It looks like I've got some dengue fever or something. Left hand is still quite swollen and broken, of course. I was going to give it to today to have a ride, but maybe in the weekend. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Today I just want to go through crf300. The rally, there's the 250 L as well. They're all fantastic bikes. They do exactly what they're designed to do, which is have some fun, get out and about, last forever, all of that sort of stuff. I actually think they're a great bike. I think they fill a hole in the market that no one else really does, especially in that 250-300 area. I think the Kato 690 is a better bike if you're going to go for a run across to the Simpson Desert or something like that, or even then you can get into the bigger bikes, the Teneraza, which are a great bike. I love that motor, and so on and so forth. But the crf300, I think, in the rally version, is a fantastic bike. I just think it's a great bike, just simple as that. Of course, it is let down by the suspension, the same as the 250, the crf250L is, the same as all of the Katos are. And it's pretty easy to ascertain just how bad it is stock, I suppose. If you go online and you punch it in, whatever bike you own, and look for aftermarket parts, the more aftermarket parts that are available for your bike, the more it needs it, okay? So it's no different with the crf300 and rally, of course, and the 250, as I said. In the past, I've thrown in Olin shocks in those. I've revalved the stock shock bodies, and they all work reasonably well. They're nothing, pardon me, they're nothing fantastic, I've got to say. And I don't think there is anything on the market that's going to turn that 300 into a Dakar winning bike, so to speak, or even an enduro bike. It's just not that sort of bike to start with. Someone can come out and tell me I'm wrong. 41, it doesn't really faze me. As I said, I've used Olins in those. I've revalved the stock stuff. They're all about much of a muchness, to be honest with you. The biggest thing with those is spring rate, and which leads me to the shock that I've actually got in my lap. But anyway, the biggest problem, I think, with the 300 is that people go and enjoy themselves on it, which leads to bigger weights, bigger loads. Most people who are buying that bike are probably something like 80 kilos to 100 kilos. You'll get the people who are lighter, you'll get the people who are heavier, of course, but I think that's probably the target. And I think that's what most people, around that body weight would be buying that sort of bike. But then you throw on another 20 kilos of gear, and especially it generally will go on the back of the bike, so you end up with the leverage effect or a pendulum effect, if you like, and to counter that, spring rate goes up. Now, part of all of those problems is that to change the preload on the spring on the 300 and the 250 and most Katos is an absolute pain in the backside, okay? So when it comes to the 300, there's not many shocks around that offer a mechanical way of changing the spring preload, so that you don't have to carry a hammer and a great big piece of steel to undo collars and do them back up again. Olin certainly don't make a hydraulic preload adjuster for it. They don't even make a mechanical preload adjuster for it. Neither do K-Tech or YSS for that matter. Wilbur's actually make two different shocks for the 300. They make a monoshock, which is the same as every other manufacturer, and they make a piggyback version of that as well. Now the piggyback version, you cannot fit a manual preload adjuster to it, like an X-Trig, something like that. If you order the monotube one, you can spec it to have an X-Trig adjuster on it. So you just need an 8mm T-handle and a bit of patience, and you can, easily change the preload to suit all the gear that you're throwing on the back and bounce it along through the dunes. Now, one that I have come across is Rally Road. Name's, synonymous. The gear's pretty good. I've never used this shock in this bike before. Clive, a mate of mine, suggested it and said it was fantastic. Swears by them up at Motorcycle Biz. And so I grabbed one, and here it is. So, oh geez, hydraulic preload adjuster, as you can see. So that ticks all of those bases that we can change for. And so this one will go on a 300 next week. It's booked in for Monday actually. And it makes that change a lot easier, obviously, because you're just reaching to the subframe and, dial in some more preload to counter all that extra weight that you're throwing on. But then when you get to somewhere and you just want to scoot down the pub for a beer or a counter lunch, you can wind it back off again for your own body weight. And the bike's all of a sudden not so darn stiff and cranky because you've got this stiff spring in the back of it for all of that weight that you're carrying across the Simpson. I actually think it's a fantastic idea. I actually like hydraulic preload adjusters a lot, on road bikes especially. On race bikes, I think they are a must-have because no one changes it because it's just so freaking difficult. Whereas with a hydraulic preload adjuster, you can just whack a turn on with your fingers. It's really dead simple. The alternative to that is the mechanical preload adjuster, such as an X-Trig, and you can Google that. They're really readily available for most shocks. Supply in Australia gets a bit iffy at times, but that's just the way it is. Same with everything really. At the moment, try buying a car. So yeah, we'll fit this up to the CRF on probably next Monday. Set of springs and revalving the forks as well. Make a massive difference, and then this bike can travel across the countryside on its merry way. But price-wise, I think they're pretty good actually. They don't have a lot of features. In fact, this one only has a rebound adjustment, which is probably, realistically, all you really need on something like this. It would be nice to have a compression adjuster. Pardon me. In order to do that with this shock on this bike, you would also then have to have a remote reservoir with the adjusters situated in that location. On a piggyback style shock like you would see on a motocross bike, enduro bike, it'd be damn near impossible to get to on the CRF. I would have thought it's a pretty crowded sort of space in there. And then once you start throwing in remote reservoirs, you start talking about increased hysteresis and so on. So I don't know that doing something like that would cure all of the problems. It would give you some adjustment, but I don't know that it's going to cure all the problems anyway. And I would certainly on the crf300 prefer to have a hydraulic preload adjuster then, than compression adjustment. But yeah, anyway, hope everyone has a great week. We should be back open on Monday. As I said, we will be back open on Monday. We'll be open Saturday morning for a couple of hours. We've got bikes coming in, bikes going out until about lunchtime. And then we're back to business next week. We're still hobbling around, of course. Pardon me. As I said, I've taken the brace off of this one. This was a green stick fracture, same as the tibia. So I'm hobbling about on that. They refused to give me crutches because they knew I'd just do too much. And essentially said, do whatever you want, as long as you can put up with the pain. So I am. So yeah, we'll be open again next week. Have fun, and I'll talk to you then.